Flippers, paper hands, and diamond hands. I'm going to break down the definition and how they actually work in the NFT ecosystem. So the definition of a flipper is someone that sells at a profit. So the idea is they might come in at sort of 0.05 and they sell at a 0.08, a 0.1, something like that. But their intention is to go in and sell for a profit. They're not going to sell for a loss. If anything, they will come out and break even. A paper hand is someone that will come in and sell underneath the price that they've bought in. So they will actively sell at a loss. Now, a paper hand usually comes in terms of the NFTs, is when they'll come in at mint price and then they will sell almost immediately underneath mint price because their investment hasn't run up in 2x, 3x, whatever. Then a diamond hand is someone that will come in, buy, and not even put a sell price, or if they do put a sell price, it's in an exorbitant sell price. So someone that might mint something for 0.08 and then they'll list it for 69 ETH. Now, the way that the ecosystem works is you need to have flippers. There is this mentality that a flipper is a bad thing in the NFT space, but you need a combination of flippers and diamond hands to kind of get a project moving, to actually get some confidence in the project and have it move on the secondary market. And when it comes down to a paper hands, all they do is they hinder the progress and the momentum of a project. Now, what I want to do to kind of explain how they all work in an ecosystem, I kind of want to break down a scenario of how it works and what would happen if you ended up just having paper hands or just having diamond hands or just having flippers in a project. So what happens is if you just have paper hands in a project, what will happen is they'll mint at sort of 0.08. Then what happens is they don't see anyone buy on the secondary market because there's no volume or anything. What they then do is they then list it for 0.07, 0.06, 0.05. What happens is it is cheaper for people to buy in on the secondary market at a lower price than it is the mint price, which means that the minting actually slows down and stops, and all the NFTs that are currently in the secondary market just kind of churn between each other. So the idea is that if a project mints out 100 at 0.08 ETH each, and then everyone starts to list it at 0.07 or 0.06, what ends up happening is people then only buy the cheapest price, which is on the secondary market. So instead of minting at 0.08, they just buy it at 0.05, which then means that the wheels are kind of turning and churning, but the momentum of the project actually minting out stops, which then in turn reduces confidence in the project. Now, if you just have flippers in the project, what will happen is they will buy in at the 0.08, they will then list at 0.12, 0.13. What happens is you're not going to get the price floor dropping below mint. It will stay above. It'll kind of sit 50 to 100% above the mint price, which is fine. But what will happen is that you will then hit a price ceiling because flippers will have a 50 or like a sort of a 1 or a 2x target. They will then kind of hit this and it'll keep hitting and hitting and hitting. So you won't ever really be able to get to a sort of a 3, 4, 5x because the flippers will have their profit kind of punched in before they even mint, which means that you almost need to get through sort of a lot more sales. An example is that if you've got to run a supply of 5,000, the flippers will mint out the 5,000. The flippers will then set their sell price. The floor will be so thick that you'll need to get through another 5,000 sales before you can even kind of start breaking above like a 2x on the project. Now, if you just have diamond hands, what ends up happening is you will have no movement on the secondary market, no volume, and a floor price that seems a little bit skeptical and a little bit sus. What I mean is someone may mint at 0.08, everyone then lists it for 100 ETH or 69 ETH. What then happens is you may have an entire project sold out, so you have a collection of 5,000, the floor price is 69 ETH, and the sort of volume is 0. People then coming into the project look at this, they can't move into the project, they can't join the project, they can't be involved in it, and then what happens is there's also no confidence in there because the people that are in on the project have set up a kind of a very high barrier to entry, and it looks like it is botted and gamed to make the project look more expensive and exclusive than it is. So the best project to come together is a combination of flippers and diamond hands, which then means that you've got people that have set a very high sell price, which means that the floor price can kind of rise quite quickly and actually kind of rise to very high levels. But you also need to have the flippers in there that are willing to sort of take the risk, mint at 0.08, mint it out, and then see if there is market demand, and then to have people buy in at 0.12. What this means is that you then start to get sort of movement on the secondary market. You then start to get people actually kind of seeing it trending on OpenSea, actual kind of activity happening. What this means is it means that you've got the diamond hands, which are holding the top end, which can give the project the stability with core holders that do not want to sell and that are diehard fans. And you've got the flippers that are there to take the risk on the initial mint, but are able to kind of just take small profits and essentially let that feed back into the system. Now, coming back to it, you may say that, yeah, but if the flipper wasn't there, it'd go into the diamond hands anyway, which would then mean that no one new could come into the system, which would then make the project not look as strong or as kind of profitable. And when it comes to a project, they are going to make money off the royalties and the secondary sales. If the project mints out and has no secondary sales, that project has just running off mint money. There's no more royalties. If a project can do 100 ETH worth of secondary sales the day after mint, and they've got 5% royalties, they've just made 5 ETH on top. So they've actually started to generate money off royalties moving forward and kind of kicking through. Because when a flipper goes to sell, they're going to be OpenSea fees, there's going to be royalty fees. Those are going back into the project. So it actually is good for a flipper to come in, be making sort of a 50 to 100% gain off the project, and then feeding those royalties back into the project, which then supports it, which also builds that confidence to then push it forward. Now, in this equation, paper hands never ever work in the, they never work and they actually destroy the momentum. So when you hear people saying they don't like flippers or flippers are in the project, you need to decipher if they're talking about flippers that are actually going to buy in and never list below the mint because they don't want to make a loss, or if they're talking about paper hands, because paper hands are people that will buy in, not see a rise or a gain instantly, and then sell underneath mint so they can liquidate their liquidate what they've actually minted, which means that they're then going to like essentially take a loss, but they don't care because they're out of the project, which then halts the momentum of the project actually moving forward. So where the ecosystem comes down is we don't like to see paper hands in a project, because those are people that aren't financially responsible and they aren't doing the research beforehand because they haven't seen any volume, they haven't seen the roadmap, they haven't seen what they're doing. They're just kind of aping in, making a purchase, then looking at the stats afterwards and going, hey, this isn't moving, I'm going to sell at a loss just so I can try to recoup some of my costs back. We need to have a combination of flippers and diamond hands to then have the project gain that momentum initially, to then kind of build that confidence for people sitting on the sidelines, for those people kind of curious if the project actually will do well, to then move in. So that is a long-winded explanation about the 3 types of holders that you have in the space when it comes to paper hands, flippers, and diamond hands, and the crucial role that flippers actually kind of play within the ecosystem and how they actually work in sync with diamond hands to actually provide liquidity for a project and people wanting to move into a project, but also that confidence moving forward. And the fact that a paper hand isn't actually a good thing, and the difference between a flipper and a paper hand is the intent and how they actually will operate, because a flipper won't want to be making a loss, but a paper hand is willing to make a loss almost immediately without even seeing the project run out. So hopefully you found value in this video and a little bit of clarity, especially if you're kind of new in the space, about the difference between a flipper, a paper hand, and a diamond hand, and how they all kind of work together, because there is a lot of not necessarily misinformation, but a lot of sort of unfiltered information, which can then lead you to not understanding what the difference between a paper hand, a flipper, and a diamond hander is, and how they all work within the system. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button, and while you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.